All right, thank you guys for being on the call today. Our Lunch and Learn is going to be about overcoming objections. And I thought what I would do is go over some common ones, and then if you guys have any, you can, chat them on the chat or just kind of blurt them out, and we can talk about how to overcome those. But, a lot of the objections we get are common, and there's a handful that we're all going to get, and you probably have already gotten them. So, the first thing, though, thinking about plexus, if you look at the statistics that are out there, the rise in obesity and diabetes is huge. Something like 1 in 3 people will develop diabetes in their lifetime now. And if you look at debt and finances, 86% of people, their major stressor is finances and money. That's the number one cause of marital stress. So all of these things plexus can help with. So keep that in mind when you are sharing plexus or you have these objections. People need our products. They're desperate. We have an answer. So we need to be confident, and we need to be bold in what we are saying, and bold in the fact that we have something that people need and we know can help people. You have to be bold in your confidence in your discussions with plexus. We have a proven opportunity, and we have proven products. So being bold is my favorite topic. A lot of people think, though, that by being bold, you have to be an extrovert, and you don't. You do not have to be an extrovert. You do not have to be, putting yourself out there like an extrovert. Being bold to me is just being confident in what you're saying and being confident when you talk to people, because they can hear that, right? Even if what you say you think sounds confident, if in your head you are not, people can pick up on that. They pick up on those nuances. And the minute you let something come out that is not confident, then that's just going to further kind of fuel their objection, and it might lead to further objections. So when I made the decision to be bold and unapologetic with plexus, that's really when my business changed. I made the decision in my head that I didn't care what anybody said. I knew these products were amazing. I knew this opportunity was amazing and this company was amazing, and I was going to be unapologetic. And when I made that decision and I started learning about the products and learning about the company, it formed this belief now that I have that is unshakable. There is nothing anybody can say to me now that I don't have an answer for, that I cannot overcome. So the trick a lot of times in being bold and overcoming these objections is to grow yourself and learn. A lot of the objections are about the product, so knowing the products. But the other thing is, if you're brand new, you can't wait until you've learned it all before you start, right? Before you work your business, because, I'm even still learning. We have new products that come out. So you do not want to wait until you've learned everything before you start working your business. So use your sideline for this. Use your upline for this. If your direct upline isn't working the business or they've checked out, go to your next upline. Everyone gets objections. Everyone does. It's how you handle them that's going to determine your business. So, and remember too, just because you get objections from people, it doesn't mean that they don't want to try plexus or they're not interested in it. It just means that they have a normal skepticism or a lack of knowledge or a fear of something new. And that's totally okay. It's actually expected. I was a skeptic in the beginning. I bet many of you guys were too. Many of you guys probably had these same objections. So when somebody brings up that question, I want you to be bold in handling it. And it comes from that confidence and that conviction from you. So you need to grow in your confidence. People can see your hesitation. They can see your fear. Or if you project that uncertainty, that can make them, like I said, bring up even more objections. It can actually make them decide not to move forward. On the flip side, someone who responds to objections with confidence and security, and in your head, that person is going to join, or they're going to buy, and you're not projecting these fears onto them, then those people will join you. So be your best self. As we go through these, objections, I want you to be your best self. Be confident in what you say and be confident in what you're selling. Even if that means you have to practice in the mirror, right? If you have to practice in the mirror, how you would answer when somebody says it's a scheme, do that. That's going to help build your confidence in your responses. Objections will not be the final no. It's just a natural part of the conversation. So if you don't know how to carry on that conversation, and if you let that objection end it, then they're never going to join. You have to go past that objection, because it just means you haven't covered something with them, right? And the best way with objections, even the ones that make your stomach kind of flip a little bit, when somebody finds something crazy on the internet or they think it's a scheme, don't run from it. Hit it head on. And if you don't know the answer, don't try to cover that up either. It's okay to say, you know what, I've never been asked that before. Let me ask my upline. Let me research that and I'll get you the answer, okay? So, I hear a lot of you coming up with some of these objections, especially early, and it can be scary. So I want you to use your uplines for three-way chats. If you have, a potential, put them on a Zoom call with your upline or a phone call. And at the very least, I want you to screenshot your conversations or screenshot these objections, send them to your upline so they can see the objections you're having and they can help you overcome it and show you by modeling those responses. I think it's imperative when you're looking to hit silver, even gold, but it's good for anyone on the team. There are still times, even now, that I screenshot something or I throw Sarah Taylor in a three-way because maybe it's like a health issue that someone's asking about that I just don't know enough about still. So today on the call, I'm going to go over pricing objections. Is it a scam? Is it a pyramid scheme? The ingredients are dangerous. It causes liver failure. All of those kinds of objections we get. And then the objection that it didn't work for me. So I'm going to go over these as best I can. Please, 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 fill in from the chat if you have something that I haven't covered. Maybe you have an objection that you just got and you weren't sure how to handle it. Maybe you got an objection and you want to know a better way to handle it. So feel free to chat in. I have some notes that I'm going to be reading because I want to make sure I cover everything. So you can unmute yourself. I might not see the chat right away. So pricing. All right. Pricing is like the biggest objection we get with Plexus. And if you personally are getting a lot of pricing objections, it's because you're not showing them enough value in the products first. Okay. It means that you may also be projecting. So I would say when it comes to pricing objections, maybe 5% of the time, the person legitimately cannot afford it. And by afford it, I mean afford $100 that day, okay? That doesn't mean they can't afford $30 for ProBio, or that doesn't mean they can't look at their budget and make some adjustments if they're really ready to invest in their health and afford it in a couple of months. But if you are getting a lot of pricing objections, I would say 5% of people really can't afford it right that day. And then I would say the other half, it's actually you projecting those pricing fears onto them. And then the other half is maybe you aren't showing them enough value in the products first, okay? So let's kind of walk through those different scenarios. As just a reminder, if you're new, you never want to show them the price first. And you never want to send them to your website. Never post your website link because you want to be their consultant. If you send them your website without any context at all, you have no idea what they're going to click on. They could click retail, they could click on a big bundle and see it's $150 and they're like, forget it, forget it. I'm not going to spend $150 to try to lose weight. You've not educated them. You need to educate them and ask them a lot of questions. Ask them, what would you like to see Plexus help you with? What are your health goals? Do you have any health issues? What are your medications, right? Be their consultant. Make that personal recommendation, specifically how Plexus can help them. We have way too many products to send somebody to the website without any context, okay? So when you personalize it and you tell them, okay, you get migraines, I am recommending the triplex and here's why. Explain how blood sugar regulation and gut health can help them get relief from migraines. Because when you show them the value in Plexus, they're less likely to ever raise that pricing objection, okay? So the other thing I like to do is use the feel, felt, found method. So I don't know if you guys have practiced this or if you've heard of it. Tara Castaneda has a great video specifically on the feel, felt, found. So what you want to do is just give an example. If somebody says, oh, that's great, but it's just too expensive, or I can't afford it, I like to say, you know what? I felt that way too when I first started looking at plexus. I thought it was too expensive and that there was no way I was going to be able to have $100, come out of my account in the month. But what I found was that it's actually only $3 a day. And for me, when I looked at where I was spending my money, I was spending more than $3 a day running through McDonald's to get a sweet tea, running through Starbucks to get a coffee. Even just the amount of coffee and tea that I made myself and brewed at home was still more than $3 a day. And so connect with them, put them at ease. It's okay that people at first think that it's too expensive. You just need to educate them that it's not, and share with them that you had these same concerns, but it's actually not true, okay? And, the bottom line is plexus products are not expensive. If you think they are in your own head, then you are projecting that onto your potentials. Don't project any pricing bias. That's what I mean. If you think they're expensive, then you need to get your mindset changed and realize they're not. Look at how much money you can save once you're on it. You can use my story if you don't have your own yet. I saved $59 in my first month. From there, it just went up. Once I got off of my Synthroid, Steve got off of his gout medication. I haven't had to buy a leave at Walmart in 14 months. And I would buy a leave all of the time for headaches and cramps. Those things add up. So you can share that with people, right? Because you need to realize that they're not expensive. And don't assume someone can't afford it or won't want to afford it. Sometimes we're all on budgets. Certainly we all have a budget, but we all know people afford what they want to afford. And if someone is so desperate to get healthy or so desperate to start this opportunity, they will find a way. I am almost dismissive on the price. It's the first thing people ask, and I tell them, yeah, it depends on which customer option and which product. So let's talk about that first. And then we can talk about pricing last. But for that 5% who legit do not have $100 that month, I get it, right? It's not in your budget. Some people have no wiggle room. You can look at other products. All of our products, except for the Slim, of course, they're $30, right? They can probably afford $30. So that kind of changes the conversation. And don't be afraid to bring up the business potential. Because obviously if they're having trouble anyway affording this, they could use that business opportunity. This is actually probably the single best thing you can share with them. When somebody tells me they bought the products off of eBay because they were cheaper, my first thought is, oh my gosh, you need the opportunity. Let's get your products paid for. People can't afford it, even if they have to restructure their budgets. And sometimes if I know that person is desperate to change their health and they really are ready to commit to it, I will ask them, say, you know what? Why don't you sit down and look at your budget and just look back and see where you've spent your money over the past month, the past 2 weeks. And I promise you, they can find wiggle room. They can find, okay, you know what? I did stop at McDonald's 3 times this week. That right there is probably $15 or $20, right? And so I think that, if you work with people and you're not afraid and you're not projecting those price objections onto people, you're going to find that you can build that common ground. And then a lot of times too, I mentioned the guarantee. I'm like, look, sometimes it's the pricing objection isn't the actual money. They're afraid it's going to be a waste of money. So you can say, look, we have a 60-day money-back guarantee for our customers. And our return rate is actually 1%. So not only can you actually get your money back, it's a no-hassle, empty bottle guarantee, the products actually work. If they didn't, our return rate would be much higher than 1%. So, and then sometimes still, I tell people like, look, I am your friend. I am not trying to take your money. My business is going to grow with or without your order. I want you to change your health. So I'm going to work with you to figure that out. I mean, the bottom line though is, guys, we're $1 billion company. with a return policy. We would not be debt-free if our products didn't work. And that our products are definitely affordable. And then even sometimes too, looking at what other supplements are they already buying. A lot of times people are buying a lot of stuff over the counter that they don't tell you about, and that adds up. Those $10, $20, $30 vitamins at Walmart add up. And I have a lot of people who can replace 3 or 4 of those with one Plexus product. So let me check real quick and make sure no. So Tammy, what about when you hand out cards or leave it at establishments? Do I not recommend it? It's not that I don't recommend it. It's just a different audience, right? And it is harder, I think, for people to get curious and go to your website. So certainly do that. I've done it. I did a thing here with a home mailing where, I sent samples of Slim to new people in the neighborhood. There's no context. It's got my website right on the brochure. But with that, I had the people's information, so I followed up with all of them right away. Sometimes, though, if you just have your card and they do just go to that website, it is hard. Then you never know who's going to go to that website. But it's still a better ROI if you put your card up there and somebody does order than not. But overall, you definitely want to build that relationship or at least give the context. So I've, even on some of my brochures I have now, I've gotten some different ones that have a blurb on there about, pricing and context over we're just not a weight loss thing. So anyway, I would definitely think about that. So the next objection is pyramid schemes. This is my favorite objection. I love this objection. And it's probably the one that actually makes us the most defensive. And it's probably the one you get from people that are closest to you. I find that most people who get the pyramid scheme objection, it's from family or close friends. But don't let it get you upset. Don't let it make you defensive, because most people, they just don't understand what a pyramid scheme is. And there actually are pyramid schemes out there. Like, it's a legitimate question. They have a reason to actually be concerned about that. And I thought it was a pyramid scheme when I first saw Plexus. I was like, oh, just another one of those pyramid schemes, right? So you can tell them, and I like to keep this light and almost laughable when somebody says it's a pyramid scheme. I tell them, oh my gosh, I thought the same thing, but I didn't know what a pyramid scheme was back then. And ask them if they actually know what it is. Put it back on them. Ask them, say, oh my gosh, I thought that. Do you actually know what a pyramid scheme is? And wait and see what they say. Use that objection as an opportunity to educate them on what it is and brag about Plexus. Like, this objection is so much fun because they actually are giving you an in to brag about Plexus, and they don't even realize it, right? So explain to them first what a pyramid scheme is and how it's different than network marketing, right? So a pyramid scheme is where people at the bottom give money to the people at the top. That's it. There's no product exchanged. There's no other means of making income. It literally is people at the bottom giving money to the people at the top. That is a pyramid scheme. Network marketing is not a pyramid scheme. Network marketing is the greatest industry in the world. Network marketing is what, Dave Ramsey recommends to get out of debt. Plexus is a network marketing company that Morgan Stanley selected as a client, which they never would have done if we were a pyramid scheme. And we're a product-based company. That's all we do. Your investment for $34.95 is for your website, and then everything else is just online shopping. Sometimes I tell people we're no different than Tupperware or Avon. Those are like classic network marketing companies that everybody has heard about. But a lot of times people just, in the news, you get the bad ones where people do lose money. Those are legit. And then sometimes I even take it further and I explain to them how in our model, you actually can outrank your sponsor, and you can certainly out-earn your sponsor very easily. You can even get a paycheck your first week. So all of these are things that you can use when somebody brings up that pyramid scheme objection. And it really is my favorite because a lot of times when somebody brings this up, one, it's because they don't know about it, but I find too, it's people who, for some reason, you ever run into those people that, one, they can't be happy for your success, and they always want to find a reason for you to be wrong, right? Or for them to be right. And so that's why I almost keep this one laughable, and I put it back on them. Like, clearly you do not understand what a pyramid scheme is if you think Plexus is one. You know, our top earner in the company, Celeste Gwynn, she's the double diamond, she joined less than 3 years ago. That does not happen in pyramid schemes or companies that are not legitimate opportunities. There are people, though, who work for other major network marketing companies that takes them decades to get to the top. That's just not the case in our model. Plus, our buy-in, like I said, is $34.95. Then sometimes I'll share my story. I tell them that, you know, my first paycheck covered my mortgage. My first paycheck covered my products, whatever that is. The fact that you get a paycheck, I don't care if your paycheck is $15. The fact that you can get it in your first week, that's a big deal. Sometimes I'll even mention if we're really, you know, if they know Gavin, Sarah's husband, or sometimes if I think that would go over well, I mention that Gavin Taylor, so our upline, her husband, he's a financial advisor with JP Morgan Chase. He actually had to get it approved by JP Morgan for him to be an ambassador. They never would have approved him to work the business if it were a pyramid scheme. So don't get upset when somebody mentions the word pyramid scheme. Use it as a chance to brag on Plexus. And, you know, if they take it a step further, sometimes they mention it because they think we're a fly-by-night company. They think that we're going to take their money and run and close down next week. And that's just not the case. So you can show them a picture of our brand new facility in Scottsdale. You know, you can tell them that we're debt free and that Morgan Stanley is our client and that we signed a 90-year lease. Like, we're not going anywhere. So sometimes, you know, just being a little bit educated on Plexus worldwide as well, that can help with that objection. Okay. So the next objection that I love, and this is the one that really made my stomach turn in the beginning, and I was nervous when somebody would bring it up. It's the bad reviews online, okay? And some of them are common, like the products contain bad ingredients, dangerous ingredients, poison, the products cause liver failure, whatever those crazy things are, they found it from a bad review online. We've all seen them. And I'll be honest, I saw them too. When I first started researching Plexus, I found that crazy Pink Betty's blog. And it made me hesitate, right? It really did. But my go-to with this is to, one, share them, be like, yeah, you know, don't be afraid of this objection, okay? And share with them that you can get, let me get my thoughts here. Share with them, one, ask them what the source is. Like, where did you hear that? And a lot of times they hear like, oh, my brother's cousin's coworker. Yeah, really? Then a lot of times they say, well, I found it online. Anytime they find something online, I use that as a reason to educate them on reputable sources. Because 100% of the time, it's always a blog or it's an article written by a blogger, okay? And if you dig deep into that person's website, they are a competitor and they are selling their own product, their own diet plan, their own health and wellness product. So educate them on reputable resources. A blog is never a good resource. Anyone can put anything on the internet. That doesn't make it true. But a good go-to with this, tell them they can get doctor approval or they can take it to their pharmacist and then put the ball back in their court. If you show them that you aren't afraid of that objection and that you are confident enough in our products to tell them to take it to their doctor or pharmacist, then there should be no argument beyond that, right? There's nothing they can say to that. Also, if you want, you can encourage them to look at our labels and our ingredients. And this is where, you know, having some product knowledge really comes into play. And we'll get into some specifics later, but if somebody tells you, oh, I can't take that, it has Hoodia in it, that's banned. And you know, no, our products don't have Hoodia, that's wrong. It's okay to come back to them and tell them that, you know. The other thing too is Plexus works hand in hand with the FDA. All of our products are thoroughly tested for an entire year before they're ever brought to market. And then even then, we have an extensive quality process before shipping. All of our products are tested. You can also share with them the clinical studies. You know, any company that has a crappy product or something that doesn't work, they are not going to invest the time and the money for clinical studies. This is not something we had to do. This is something we chose to do because we stand by our products. That's a big deal, and you can always certainly reference that. So one thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to share my screen just really quickly. I wanted to mention the shield of confidence. Many of you guys have seen this. I have a training on it already if you want to go to the YouTube page and watch the full thing. But let me pull this up here. The shield of confidence is something I love, especially when you are new. You can use this to overcome any objections. So what the shield of confidence is, you always want to have these three things in the back of your mind when you're talking to people. One, like we talked about, the 60-day money-back guarantee and the 1% return rate. Thousands of online testimonies. If you haven't spent time looking through the testimony pages, go do that. I know it's a different time now in our businesses. We can't post anymore on Facebook that Plexus has cured migraines or cured any sort of illness like we used to be able to, but those testimonies are still out there in the testimony pages. You can still share those testimonies with people in private conversations. And then you can also look at the scientific evidence behind our ingredients. Plus now we have the clinical studies, the phenomenal growth of the company. We do not become a billion-dollar company if our products don't work. And then your own personal story. You know how Plexus made you feel. So if you keep those in mind, it really doesn't matter what objections somebody has. Or, you know, a lot of times we have people say, well, what's the difference between that and Advocare? What's the difference between that and It Works? That doesn't matter. You don't have to be an expert on Advocare and It Works. You just have to have this shield of confidence and know, well, you know, I don't know a lot about Advocare, but what I do know is Plexus works. Here's how it's made me feel. We have thousands of testimonies. You can share those testimonies. So I just wanted to remind people of that shield of confidence. I really, really like it for overcoming some of these objections. Now, some other ones that we get pretty often that I wanted to talk about are specific product objections. And this is where really knowing your products is gonna help you, or at the very least, getting your upline involved in those conversations. One of the big ones, and I actually just got it the other day, Slim has caffeine in it. So when you get these weird objections that are just flat out wrong, it's okay to tell them, you're wrong. Like, oh, I'm sorry you think that. There's actually no caffeine in Plexus Slim. But that's where knowing your products or getting your upline involved is really going to help. You know, caffeine is not in Slim. In fact, 3 samples from every batch is tested, and no caffeine has ever been detected. So a lot of times, though, that comes from people, again, not being educated. They look on the bag and they see that green coffee bean. Green coffee bean does not actually contain any caffeine. It's the roasting process of beans that determines the caffeine content. People don't know that. There are even doctors that don't know that. I've even had somebody say, my doctor said I can't take it because I can't have caffeine. Well, it doesn't have caffeine. I had somebody come back to me not too long ago and say, I had to quit Slim because it just made my heart rate skyrocket from all the caffeine. And I'm like, no, it didn't. I'm sorry you think that. Let's figure out what else it is, because it could not have been the Slim, right? So when you know your products really well, or you at least get your upline involved, there isn't any type of objection that we can't overcome. Even crazy things, like Sarah Taylor actually had somebody tell her once that Plexus gave her an STD. No, it didn't, you know, so you have to be confident enough, though, and bold enough to come back on that person and tell them, no, that's not the case. Let's take a step back, though, and let's rationally think about what's going on. A lot of times you have people say, you know, Plexus gave me the flu, or Plexus gave me strep throat, or, you know, things that we know are not possible. But because Plexus is new to them, And even though they've ordered it and they've tried it, it doesn't mean they're still not a skeptic. Just because they placed your order and they're drinking their Slim doesn't mean they have belief in the products all of a sudden, right? They have to get that from you. I was one of those people. Just because I'd ordered and signed up as an ambassador, when we got our orders, I told Steve not to tell anybody because I wasn't sure it was going to work. So the other thing too about some of those crazy things people blame the products for, sometimes it is die-off. Sometimes it's detox. So knowing those are really important for you too. Because if somebody comes and says, hey, you know what? I think plexus gave me the flu. Well, no, plexus cannot give you the flu, but let's talk about what you're feeling, because sometimes die-off symptoms can mimic the flu. Sometimes you can have a headache. In rare cases, you can even have a fever. So anyway, just knowing those things, you can overcome that. No chats. Okay. Another one that we get a lot is the Amazon won't sell plexus. It's banned from Amazon, or it's banned from Canada. It's banned in other countries. This again is not true. And knowing where this comes from will help you overcome those objections. So it's old news. And that's what I tell them. You know, when someone's like, oh my gosh, did you know? And I love how people give you those objections too. Sometimes it's like somebody random, all of a sudden they decide to send you a message and tell you all the bad things they found about plexus. Like, hey, I'm looking out for you. I just wanted you to know plexus is banned in Canada and Australia. Like, okay, no, it's not. But like, why do you feel the need to message me these things when clearly you're not interested in plexus anyway? You're just interested in Googling plexus and sending me all of these crazy things you find. So that's old news. Amazon is not allowed to sell plexus because plexus won't allow them to sell plexus. We also don't allow it on eBay or Craigslist or anything. That's not our business model. Our business model is also not selling it on store shelves. Our business model is selling it through ambassadors. We're a network marketing company. That's why you won't find it on any of those sites. Now, I do know that it's on Amazon and Craigslist illegally. That's a whole nother issue. And Plexus, I think I shared with you guys, they actually hired a law firm to get those shut down. So that's good news. But it's not because it's banned, because it's bad. The Canada and Australia rumor stems from DMAA. You might get this too. You might have somebody come to you and say, oh, it contains DMAA, which is banned in other countries. So where that comes from is 4 years ago, Plexus was looking to expand our business into Canada and Australia. As you guys know, we're Plexus worldwide. We are in the United States, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. We have thousands of ambassadors in those countries. We have jewels in those countries. So, but when we were looking to get into Canada and Australia, the countries had to do a review of our products to make sure we could not only sell them there and ship them there, but also have distributors there, right? So back then, Accelerator contained, and it was the old Accelerator, it contained geranium extract. You guys have all know what geraniums are. It's that plant, right? It's a flower. But when you look at the chemical breakdown, it has a similar chemical structure to DMAA, which is a weight loss ingredient. And so when Canada really quickly looked at geranium extract, they said, oh no, we can't do that because your product contains DMAA. And we told them, no, it does not contain DMAA. It contains geranium extract. Well, once we told them that and they looked into it again, they said, oh, you're right. And they reversed that. Your products do not contain DMAA. Come on into Canada and set up your business, which is what we did. But there are still those old rumors flying around that were banned. So if you get that, I would just tell them like, oh no, that's an old rumor. We're actually not banned. We actually have, distribution in those countries actually. And we have ambassadors who are in Canada and Australia and New Zealand. So you can explain that. I actually keep that blurb in the notes on my phone. So if anybody asks me about it or brings it up, I can just send them that blurb. A lot of times with some of these objections, you get them more so when you're brand new because it's the first time your network is hearing about plexus. So I rarely get the banned in any countries and banned question anymore. Another objection that you guys are going to get, you absolutely are going to get it, is flat out no. Okay? You are going to be told no. You're going to get that objection. In fact, I would tell you that if you're not getting no's, then you aren't doing it right. It's actually part of the business, right? But I do think this is one of the major reasons why people are not bold in their business. And they aren't getting people to commit because you are afraid of the word no. And listen, okay, guys, who cares? Who cares if somebody says no? What's going to happen? Are you going to die? No. Is that person never going to speak to you again? No. Okay? You have to detach from no. You have to detach from it and not be afraid of it. No doesn't mean they think the products are a scam. No doesn't mean they think you're a bad person. No doesn't mean they're not going to be your friend. No doesn't even mean they don't want to try plexus, right? I said no 5 times, like butthead no to Sarah Taylor. She was a stranger. I didn't know her, so I was a big butthead. I said no. Obviously, that doesn't mean I never tried plexus. And it doesn't mean I never got on with the opportunity. So one thing, when you get no, don't say, oh, okay, I understand. Gosh, do not ever say that. Whenever anybody brings you up an objection, you want to ask them why. Why? No. It's okay. Knowing their reason can help overcome it. And that can go a long way in your conversation and your relationship with that person. And you know what? Sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes it's just timing and it's not a good time for them. And we have to respect that. We have to be okay with no. But if you don't know their reason, then you can't overcome it. If they say no, and when you ask them why, it's because they got on Crazy Betty's blog and they think our products contain poison, you can never overcome that and educate them if you had never asked them why. But if it is timing, we have to respect that, right? And write their name on your list, like never take them off your list, and follow up with them, build the relationship, and eventually, I promise you that no, it's going to turn into a yes. I would say 95% of the people on my team, like my level ones, they all said no at first. Very rarely did somebody say, oh, yes, sign me up. How do I do it? Right? Very rarely. So if you're not getting no's, you're not doing it right. You have to not be afraid of it. You have to detach from it. Get your mindset right and just be okay with the no's. Another objection we get sometimes is, oh, I tried plexus before. It didn't work for me. And those you don't want to shy away from either. There isn't any objection that you should never overcome. Like there's never one that you should just walk away from and be like, oh, okay, I understand. No, there are none, because our products are amazing. Our opportunity is amazing. So when somebody comes to me and says, oh man, I tried it before, it didn't work, I kind of sympathize with them. And I'm like, oh man, like I hate to hear that. Can we talk a little bit about maybe why it didn't work for you? And start that conversation, because the products work, and tell them like you hate that they had that experience because the products work. Maybe they weren't on the right combo. Maybe they didn't give it long enough. Maybe they self-sabotaged. Maybe they wanted weight loss, but they were on the probiotic, and maybe they wanted weight loss in like 2 months. Maybe they wanted weight loss, but they still ate at McDonald's every day. Like it's okay to engage them in that conversation and figure out why. It doesn't mean they might order from you right that day. Doesn't mean that. But what you're trying to do sometimes in these objections is change their viewpoint and educate them on plexus. You don't want somebody thinking that the products don't work, because they do. And treat them like your own customer. Treat them like you would if they were one of your people and they came to you and said the products aren't working. Another one too that we get sometimes from our team, actually we get it a lot. I said it myself. I don't want to sell. Nah, I don't want anything to do with the business. Don't even talk to me about it. That was me. It's okay to respect that, but it's also okay to be bold and push back on that. And I tell everyone, like, hey, I thought that too. Like, I didn't want to sell anything, but you know what? Everyone is a network marketer. You're already doing it. You are already doing network marketing. You're just not getting paid for it. Anytime you post on Facebook that you found this delicious chocolate popcorn at Walmart and you want people to buy it because it tastes so good, anytime you recommend a movie, a hair salon, a restaurant, a recipe, sharing a recipe is network marketing, right? That's all we do. So I tell people, you're already doing it. You're just not getting paid for it. And sometimes I'll go as far as to tell people, that's great. I don't want anybody to sell either. I don't want a salesman. I want somebody who can share their passion and who can share how much Plexus has helped them. So a lot of times when you get a new person that says, I don't want to sell, I will say, oh, I totally understand. I felt the same way. And I understand that you want to be on the products a little bit before, you start sharing. But here's why you shouldn't do that. One, people are going to see you and they're going to see the changes. People are going to see you drinking your pink drink. People are going to notice you have a little pep in your step. And then eventually people are going to notice other things, and it's okay to tell them it's Plexus. It's okay to share that. And in the beginning too, people see you posting on Facebook every day. They see you working your Plexus business. Like those of you on the call, you are working your Plexus business. People who are brand new do not have to do what you do. They can share Plexus and never post on Facebook, just in the beginning, right? So I have a lot of people that are like, I don't want to sell. I'm like, that's okay. But you know what? If you just share it with 3 or 4 people, you can at least get a paycheck to cover your products. And they're like, oh, okay, I don't have to post on Facebook like you do. I don't have to do videos and all that. No, you don't. If you know 4 people and you want to all do this together, that's enough, and that's okay. No, not everybody has to work the business full time. Not everyone has to want to be a jewel or whatever. So, I just want you guys to be bold and be confident. We are dealers in hope. We have products that people are desperate for. They're desperate for it. They just may not realize that Plexus is the answer, okay? You see their posts. People are overweight. They are tired. They are grumpy. They have health issues that they take medications for that, are affecting their day-to-day life. We have products that can change that for them. There are people who are struggling to make ends meet, people who can't afford toys for their kids or groceries. We have answers for that, guys. They just don't know it. So it's up to us to share that with them. I actually think now it is selfish if you do not share the opportunity and the products, right? It's okay if they don't sign up right then, but it's selfish of us to not share. So the other thing I want to leave you guys with, and then we can open it up if you have any specific questions, is stop using the internet, though, and Facebook as your crutch. It is really easy in this business to only use your laptop and your phone, right? And post on Facebook. Posting is great, don't get me wrong, but it's only one piece of the puzzle, right? Posting is passive marketing for your Plexus business. So you can't rely solely on it. You have to talk to people. You have to bring that personal aspect to your business. That is what is going to kind of take your business to the next level, making it personal. So be bold. Don't be afraid to recommend it to your friends. Don't be afraid to recommend Plexus to a friend who's constantly posting that they have headaches. And be bold in asking people to lock arms and do this business with you, okay? So we should all be proud to be Plexus ambassadors. And once you really, truly believe that, you are going to be able to overcome any of these objections, I promise you. Okay, so couple of questions. Okay, so somebody said the Plexus has over 600 complaints with the BBB. You looked it up, right? It's the, right. So here is where that stems from. Here's what I would tell her, Tammy. I would say our company, right, just reiterate again, we are a debt-free company. Morgan Stanley took us on as a client, and we are on the list of the fastest growing and best private companies from Inc. 5000. None of that would happen if any of those complaints were legitimate. Remember, anyone can file a complaint on the BBB. That doesn't mean they're legitimate. Now, where a lot of these stem from was in October when we implemented our new back office. And you can tell her, yes, we did. In October, we implemented a brand new website, and our 2-day shipping went to like 2 weeks. We had major shipping delays. People were upset, but I promise you the company fixed all of that. I can't tell you how many, things were overnighted. The company fixed it. We are back to 2-day shipping. And so that's what I would tell her. Like, we did have an issue back in October. You were there, you lived through it. If I see auto ships on there, I probably wouldn't bring that up. I would just tell her that some of those stemmed from the back office. The problem with the auto ship that kills me, it's not us, it's people who don't turn their backup order off. That's what kills me. Like, you don't have to have an auto ship. If you have it turned on, it's going to ship. That's what you're telling the company to do. So you can't blame Plexus when your auto ship goes because you didn't log in and turn it off. But I probably wouldn't get into specifics right away. Tammy, I would mention to her that probably stemmed from the back office. And I am sure that those have all been resolved, because if we really did have that many complaints, we wouldn't be in business, right? Okay. Any other objections that you guys get that I didn't cover or that you're not sure about? And again, almost every time, texting and Messenger is great. I definitely get caught up in the typing responses because it's quick, it's easy. I actually think I don't stumble, right, when I type, because I have time to think it out. Don't rely on that. So especially with objections, pick up the phone, minimally use voice messenger. That's the only way they're going to be able to hear your passion and your conviction and your confidence. So what do you do when they have objections about the products after a month or two? Objections meaning they aren't working. So a lot of times, and they want to leave. A lot of times this comes from setting up expectations in the beginning. You definitely want to get people on the phone in the beginning and explain to them what's going to happen on their plexus journey, okay? You want to explain to them that you have to give it 90 days, 60 to 90. Now, if they came to you because they have migraines, they're not going to reduce years of migraines in 2 months on a product, right? So setting up those expectations in the beginning is so important. And just being honest and saying, like, look, this can help you, I promise you, but you got to hang in here with me. You got to let the products work. Sometimes I educate them on supplements. I remind them this is not a prescription. Prescriptions are made to mask symptoms immediately. Supplements are a way to supplement your body into functioning as it should. That's going to take some time, okay? Now, when somebody comes to me, let's say I've done that. I've set their expectations. They've come to me and they're like, I want to quit. Then I immediately ask them why. It's almost always because they're not getting results. And then I tell them, like, look, I hate that I put it back on them. I'm like, man, I hate that you're going to quit before the products even have a chance to work. Or I hate that you want to quit before you ever really even feel better. That's a shame. That really is a shame, because I know these products can work for you. You know what quitting feels like, because 2 months ago before Plexus, that's how you felt. You have no idea how great you're going to feel if you just give it time. And then sometimes too, I'm like, look, you know me. I'm Amy. I would never recommend something that's not going to work for you. So you need to work with me on this, okay? Let's see. After a month or two, they want to leave. So those are just some conversations, and that's where making it personal and getting them on the phone and really having those conversations is helpful. And you know what? Sometimes too, here's the thing, guys. Sometimes people really aren't ready to invest in their health. They really aren't. And if you're having those conversations, like, you really need to dig deep. Why do you want to quit? What are your objections? Oh, it's not working. All right, let's figure out why it's not working. Sometimes they're not taking their products. Sometimes they're still, like I said, eating ice cream every single night, but they think our products are going to miraculously let them lose weight. Plexus is a tool. Plexus is not a miracle pill. There's no such thing, right? There's no such thing. Our bodies are not designed for that. So really, really have those conversations. And sometimes it's a hard conversation to have. I just had one yesterday. Brand new ambassador. She contacted me because she wanted help with gut health. She wanted to change her gut health. So, of course, I put her on triplex. She had a little bit of die-off, went right through it, 2 months on plexus. She's loving it. She said, oh my gosh, it's been great for gut health. Her third auto ship goes, and I get a message afterwards that she wants to quit. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought everything was going well. She tells me she hasn't lost enough weight. And I said, well, I am sorry that you're quitting because you want to lose weight. You told me you were joining plexus for gut health. Had I known you actually are judging plexus on weight loss, I never would have put you on the probiotic. I would have put you on something else. And so that's not really fair of you, right, to quit a product based on expectations that aren't actually realistic. So anyway, sometimes you just have to, people have to be responsible for their own health. Rita, are you allowed to put, oh gosh, yes, you can post that business opportunity. Post it like crazy. The only thing you can't do is you can't share your paycheck publicly. That's something you can't do. But, that's why I share all the time. Anytime somebody ranks, I post it on my page. I post the income chart. Sharing those diamond documentaries, you can share diamond documentaries all day long to share the business opportunity. Now, I do send people my paycheck in a private message, certainly, and I've shared it with you guys. You guys are welcome to share it. A lot of times that's how I talk about the business opportunity. I'm like, look, here's what my first check did. Here's my current check. Now look at Sarah's paycheck. And that's when people are like, whoa, especially if they know you. So, okay, guys, it's been almost an hour. If there aren't any other objections, I hope that I cover that and that this was helpful. Thank you guys for tuning in.